The narrative of a Black Jesus is a profound intersection of faith, history, and racial identity, compelling us to challenge deeply ingrained assumptions and re-examine long-standing perspectives. This exploration reveals how centuries of colonization, religious conformity, and cultural biases have shaped the image of Jesus, often obscuring the true historical and cultural context of his life. By embracing the concept of a Black Jesus, we are not merely questioning traditional portrayals of Christ. We are also engaging in a deeper exploration of historical narratives that have systematically marginalized the significant contributions of Africa to Christianity. This journey compels us to confront the intertwining of race and spirituality, shedding light on how power dynamics, prejudice, and politics have influenced religious perceptions for generations. For centuries, the dominant image of Jesus within Western Christianity has been that of a light-skinned, European-looking figure. This portrayal, perpetuated through art, literature, and religious teaching, reflects a Eurocentric perspective that disregards the likely appearance of a man born in Bethlehem and raised in the Middle East. Historical evidence suggests that Jesus' physical features would have resembled those of the indigenous populations of his region, with darker skin and features more aligned with Middle Eastern and North African people. Despite this, the Europeanized image of Jesus has been deeply ingrained in the global consciousness, reinforcing narratives that align divinity with whiteness while relegating African heritage and influence to the periphery of Christian history. The story of a Black Jesus provides a fresh lens through which to explore these issues, offering a more inclusive and accurate understanding of faith and cultural diversity. Delving into the African heritage of Jesus and the early Christian church requires a willingness to challenge the Eurocentric interpretations that have dominated Christian thought. The geographical and cultural context of Jesus' life, coupled with the historical role of Africa in early Christianity, reveals a rich tapestry of influence and interaction often overlooked in mainstream narratives. The Bible does not offer a detailed physical description of Jesus, which has allowed various cultures to depict him in ways that reflect their own identities and ideals. However, many scholars agree that the historical Jesus likely resembled the people of the Middle Eastern and North African regions. His family's journey into Egypt, seeking refuge as a child, underscores a profound connection to the African continent. This event not only symbolizes Africa as a place of sanctuary and safety, but also highlights its significance in the broader narrative of Jesus' life and ministry. Beyond symbolic connections, Africa played a crucial role in the development of early Christianity. The intellectual and spiritual contributions of early African theologians and scholars are deeply embedded in Christian history. Figures such as Saint Augustine of Hippo, Tertullian, and Origen were instrumental in shaping foundational Christian doctrines. Saint Augustine, a Berber from North Africa, profoundly influenced Western Christian theology with his writings on topics such as original sin and divine grace. Tertullian, also of African origin, was the first to articulate the concept of the Trinity, a cornerstone of Christian belief. Origen, who worked in Alexandria, made significant advancements in biblical interpretation and early Christian thought. Despite their monumental contributions, the African identities of these theologians have often been minimized or erased in mainstream Christian history. This erasure was not accidental, but rather a deliberate distortion that prioritized Eurocentric narratives over a truthful representation of Christianity's diverse origins. The marginalization of Africa's role in Christianity aligns closely with the legacy of European colonization. As European powers expanded their empires across Africa, they propagated a version of Christianity heavily influenced by their own cultural norms and racial ideologies. This version often served as a tool of colonization, used to justify the exploitation and subjugation of African peoples. The portrayal of a white, European Jesus became central to this colonial project, reinforcing the belief in European superiority while excluding African peoples from the sacred narrative. This distortion of Christian history supported the racial ideologies that justified the transatlantic slave trade and the colonization of African lands. The image of a white Jesus was not merely an artistic choice, but a strategic tool to align divinity with the colonizer, thereby legitimizing oppression and marginalizing African cultures and spirituality. In response to these distortions, African Christians across the continent and the diaspora have demonstrated remarkable resilience. They adapted their faith to reflect their cultural heritage and experiences, creating vibrant expressions of Christianity that honored their African roots. Enslaved Africans in the Americas, for example, infused their Christian beliefs with elements of African spirituality, developing unique forms of worship that sustained their cultural identity and spiritual resilience. The narrative of a Black Jesus is part of a broader movement to reclaim Africa's rightful place in the history of Christianity. This reclamation is about more than historical accuracy. It is a powerful affirmation of identity and dignity for African Christians and their descendants. It challenges exclusionary narratives and fosters a more inclusive vision of faith that acknowledges the diverse cultural and racial origins of Christianity. By embracing the story of a Black Jesus, believers are invited to reconnect with a version of Christianity that recognizes their contributions and experiences, rather than viewing the faith as an imported or imposed system. Reclaiming the image of a Black Jesus and the African roots of Christian thought also invites the global Christian community to embrace the diversity inherent in its faith tradition. Christianity emerged in a multicultural, multi-ethnic world, and its early spread was profoundly influenced by the intellectual and spiritual currents of Africa. Recognizing this heritage dismantles the notion that Christianity belongs to any single race or culture, affirming its universal message of justice, equality, and love. The restoration of Africa's role in Christian history is a step toward healing the wounds caused by centuries of exclusion and misrepresentation. By confronting the racial and cultural biases that have shaped our understanding of faith, the story of a Black Jesus offers an opportunity for spiritual enrichment and empowerment. It reminds us that Christianity is not monolithic, but a tapestry of diverse cultures and experiences, with Africa as a vital contributor to its rich history. This renewed understanding holds significance not only for African Christians, but for the broader Christian community. It calls on believers to examine how their faith can become more inclusive and reflective of its diverse origins. By challenging the dominant images and interpretations that have shaped Christianity, believers are encouraged to create a faith that is more just, inclusive, and aligned with the teachings of Jesus. The image of a Black Jesus is not a divisive symbol, but a unifying call to embrace a fuller understanding of Christianity's history and message. In a world grappling with the legacies of racism and inequality, the untold story of a Black Jesus serves as a powerful reminder of the need for inclusivity in faith. It challenges us to move beyond racial and cultural divisions and to envision a Jesus who reflects the diversity of humanity. This narrative is not about replacing one image with another, but expanding our understanding to include the richness of a history that has often been overshadowed. To honor the message of Jesus, it is essential for churches, schools, and communities to engage in open and honest dialogues about the diverse roots of Christianity. These conversations can restore dignity and identity to those excluded from dominant narratives, fostering a sense of belonging and spiritual connection. By sharing the story of a Black Jesus, we take a step toward building a more inclusive and authentic faith, one that addresses the complexities of the modern world while remaining true to the universal values of love, justice, and equality that Jesus taught. The journey to reclaim the African heritage of Christianity is one of resilience, recovery, and hope. It invites believers to explore the past with honesty and to build a future where all stories are valued and acknowledged. By embracing this narrative, we move closer to a Christianity that is historically accurate, spiritually enriching, and inclusive, offering a deeper understanding of the faith that continues to shape so many lives.